Hello everyone, I'm Poltergeist, and sooner or later I had to confess myself. I've always dreamed to become a game developer. I've always dreamed to be a game developer since my early 13 when after playing Final Fantasy on the PS1 I was already fantasizing to build my dream JRPG. But back in the day, the early 2000s, I learned in my room I've never imagined that something like Unity or Unreal could have existed. For the young me, games were made only by mythical and mysterious figures, and the word indie was just a short way to call someone that lived in Indonesia. My expectations just crashed against demo copies of RPG Maker and Flash MX, and, well, my life just moved on. In 2016, I discovered Unity through a random ads on the internet. One of those spam that just says, "Wanna be a game developer?" and that nobody clicks because it's spam, right? But it was 2016 and maybe I wasn't already ads averse as I am now, and well, I just clicked. The little kid inside me finally discovered that game development was not just for
genius with godlike powers.
but for those with strong passion and the will to learn the tools now available. I double-checked the word indie and discovered it was just a short way to call someone that worked as independent. I wanted to become one of those people. I've been through a lot of highs and lows in the past 7 years, having to learn the tools, but most importantly, having to accept that past the 30s, the tools aren't enough anymore to follow a dream, because responsibilities are way more important and things must be planned out and not rushed following the enthusiasm. Of all the things I'm still learning, the hardest one is to wait for things to reach their maturity before pulling the trigger. After all, independent is just an empty word if it's not sustainable. And to make it as such,
I need to push mechanical gods to its completion.
Mechanical Gods, it's a fighting game that mixes up Soul Calibur's arena style with the stamina system of Dark Souls for a fast-paced arena fighting game that focuses on spacing, timing, and resource management. The story is set in a deep and dark sci-fi future where humanity is reduced to fight for survival and robots and AIs rule a world made of obscure megastructures and decaying energy sources. I could have made a step-by-step devlog during this past year, but since game dev wasn't my full-time job and it won't for a long time, I had to focus on putting together the game and nothing else. The amount of things I had to learn, build, test and eventually scrape just for the prototype was huge enough to keep me away from doing anything else. But moving on, I'm thinking of sharing the rest of development here on YouTube to feel less alone in this journey that I set myself in, and hopefully to find someone interested in how Mechanical Gods is going to evolve. But in case you're curious about the birth of Mechanical Gods, here roughly summarize how the game has gone from being an empty project to the massive beast yet incomplete that it is now. Fun fact: originally the game was meant to be a turn-based fighting game, but soon transformed into a real-time classic because I was afraid to fall into a niche too small to be profitable. Even today I'm still not sure if the change was really needed, but the advent of Elden Ring and the effect it had on the market convinced me that there's at least a lot of people that want to just panic roll into oblivion and to die from having depleted the stamina bar. That's how in March of 2022 I started to write a bunch of scripts to build up some sort of Souls-like clone, but set in closed arenas in the classic fighting game fashion. I was sure that with the help of Indy's best friend, Mixamo's Expert, and a dozen of pre-made animations, I could have prototyped the whole game like a boss, but I quickly realized that to make something remotely playable, I was short of at least 50 plus animation that someone had to do, in a way or another. This someone was me, of course. Armed with patience, strong passion and, yes, will to learn, I've passed the following 2 months working in Blender, creating from scratch walking cycles, attacks, blocks, dashes, hits, special moves, gestures, and other animation needed to create the proper feel of the game, fully aware that everything was meant to be thrown in the bin once the state of the project would have been ready to go past the prototype phase. Crafting all the animation was a really satisfying process, but seeing things taking life as I have imagined them is one of the core aspects that make game development so exciting. I passed the following month implementing everything in the engine, jumping between Unity's animator and the scripts that need to control its flow, until I stumbled on yet another obstacle. Watching Expert kicking and punching has been interesting for about a couple of days, but without a proper response from a real opponent, I wasn't having fun. It was time to breathe life into Expert and make it move by itself. I was obsessed with Dark Souls Invaders AI that creates a superb illusion of being a real player. I started to squish my mind for weeks on how I could have achieved the same level of illusion. I wanted the AI to be reusable among many characters without having to write specific code for each one of them. I wanted it to be smart enough to change strategy based on characters' fighting preferences and other factors that might occur during a bloody fight. To solve these problems, I came up with the idea of splitting the general behavior into many small loops. I was so satisfied with the end result that for a long period of time I thought I could have named the entire game after it, that at that time was meant to be sangue, the Italian word for blood. Armed with strong passion and the will to suffer, I guess, I started a long sculpting section that brought my computer to the brink of explosion for the millions of vertices I was constantly manipulating. I've learned so many lessons in this part of the process that I could make a dedicated video entitled How to Never Make a 3D Character. On top of all this, I had to debug, writing an interesting story, creating a decent arena, finding sounds, playing with visual effects, building various menus like the character selection screen, managers for the game loop that are still incomplete, consumable items, a local multiplayer mode to test the game against
Human players.
and hundreds of small and big things that eated up an entire year of time, effort and energy. The only thing that I've managed to work on other than the game itself in the last few months was the Steam page, which I'm really proud of because it's a milestone that I've awaited with anticipation, and now it feels like if the game is a bit more real and not just a dream anymore. But now I have to admit that I feel the responsibility to not let down people and to deliver what I've promised in the description of the page. Going forward, I'm planning to deliver some devlog style videos about the process of bringing mechanical gods to life and all the other games that hopefully will follow. Also, I think of doing some videos about my experiences and my thoughts while trying to pursue my dream of going full time in this fast evolving world soon to be ruled by
AIs.